My wife said she was finding herself. I found out she was actually finding comfort in the arms of a former boyfriend. When I asked her about it, she said, "You wouldn't understand." She never expected me to understand so well that I left without looking back. I never thought I'd be the kind of guy writing one of these. But here I am, 44 years old, sitting in my empty house in Albany, Georgia, telling strangers about how my marriage fell apart and how I decided to stop being the guy who got walked on. I met Renee when we were 25. I was working HVAC, she worked at a dental clinic. She had this laugh that made people turn their heads. Confident. Loud. Real. We were married a year later. Nothing fancy, just a simple ceremony with some friends and family. I thought we'd grow old together. We bought a small house on the east side of town. I did most of the fixing up. Painted the walls, redid the kitchen myself. Every nail, every tile, I did that thinking it was for our future. Things were good for a long time. I mean it. We weren't rich, but we were stable. We laughed a lot. We tried for kids, but it didn't happen. That hurt, but we stuck together. Or at least I thought we did. Then things started to shift about 2 years ago. Renee got quiet. Distant. She said she was just going through a weird phase. That she needed to find herself. I asked her what that meant. She said, "I don't know. I just feel like I'm lost sometimes. I need space to think." At first, it was little things. She'd take a walk at night instead of watching TV with me. She'd stay longer after work. She joined a yoga class in town, then started going to women's retreats on weekends. I didn't argue. I figured maybe this was just her way of dealing with getting older, not having kids, whatever. But the distance didn't shrink. It grew. She stopped kissing me goodbye in the mornings. No more "I love yous" at night. She'd come home from these weekend trips looking like she'd just had the best time of her life. And when I asked her about it, she'd get vague. It's personal. It's about self-discovery. I tried to support her. I picked up more chores. I left her alone when she wanted it. I even surprised her with a weekend trip of our own. She said, "That's sweet," but then added she had a meditation circle that weekend and couldn't cancel. She was slipping away and I could feel it, but I kept lying to myself. I kept thinking, she'll come back to me. She just needs time. Then one Thursday night she left her email open on our laptop. We share a laptop at home. It's mostly mine, but she uses it sometimes. I didn't go looking for anything. I swear. I was just going to check an invoice for work. But her inbox was open, and I saw a name in the recent messages. Kyle Brennan. That name hit me like a punch. I hadn't heard it in years, but I remembered it. Her high school boyfriend. The one she told me about when we first started dating. He was young and stupid, she had said back then. I'd never go back to that. Curiosity got me. I clicked. There were dozens of emails. All recent. Some just a few days old. The first one I read was short. "Last weekend was everything I needed. You always knew how to make me feel like myself. I wish I could stay wrapped up in you forever." I felt sick. I kept reading. More than I should have. She told him how she felt dead inside when she was with me. That I was a good man, but not her man. She said being with him made her feel alive, free, young again. She talked about his lips, his hands, his apartment. She even mentioned a special spot they liked to go to, some motel off I-10 near Tallahassee. She told him she hated lying to me, but he wouldn't understand. I didn't cry. Not right away. I just sat there. Staring. Then I closed the laptop and walked outside. It was cold that night. Real cold. I stood out on the porch for about an hour before I came back in and sat on the edge of our bed. She was asleep, breathing deep. Peaceful. I wanted to wake her up and scream. I wanted to drag her out of the house. But I didn't. Instead, I waited. 3 days later, we were folding laundry. Normal Sunday afternoon. Sun coming in through the kitchen window. She was folding a pair of her yoga pants, and I asked, real calm, "So, you still trying to find yourself?" She smiled like she thought it was cute that I remembered. "Yeah," she said. "It's been good. I'm learning a lot about who I am." I nodded. "You seeing anyone from your past?" She froze. Just for a second. Then went back to folding. "Why would you ask that?" "No reason. Just popped in my head." She didn't even look at me. "Even if I was, you wouldn't understand." I said nothing after that. I just stood up, walked outside, and took a drive. That night, while she slept, I started putting a plan together. I wasn't going to scream. I wasn't going to beg. I wasn't going to give her the satisfaction of seeing me broken. She didn't want me to understand. She was about to learn how much I did understand. I didn't leave right away. That's what she expected. I knew her well enough to know that once she figured out I knew, she thought I'd either explode or crumble. Cry, scream, maybe punch a wall and sleep in the truck. But I didn't do any of that. I played dumb. That was the hardest part. Every morning I made coffee, kissed her forehead. Asked about her retreats like I gave a damn. Nodded along when she said she felt renewed. I even asked if she wanted to try couples therapy. She said no. Said I was fine, but she was the one who needed healing. She kept emailing Kyle. They even started talking about how to ease me out gently. How she'd maybe tell me she needed a trial separation. She wrote, "He'll be hurt, but he's not a fighter. He won't make it messy." She didn't know me at all. I made a checklist. First thing I did was go to the bank. We had a joint account, but I had my own separate savings. I started transferring small amounts into a private credit union account under just my name. Nothing too big at once. Just enough that she wouldn't notice. Next, I called a friend I trusted. My buddy Dean, who ran a mechanic shop down in Columbus. I told him I might need a place to crash for a few days and that I couldn't tell him why just yet. Dean said, "Whatever you need, man. You know I got you." Then I started digging into Kyle Brennan. I found his Facebook. He had it mostly locked down, but not enough. I saw pictures of him hiking, barbecuing with buddies, taking some poor dog on long trail runs like he was still 20. The guy wore tank tops like it was a personality. He had a smug look in every damn photo. I did a reverse lookup on his number from the emails and got his address. Not for revenge. Not the physical kind, at least. I wanted to see where he lived, what kind of life he had. It wasn't much, a rundown rental on the edge of Tallahassee, across from a storage unit place. Nothing special. I took a few pictures of the place from my truck. Sent them to my own email with the subject line, "Does he still make you feel young?" I never sent it to her. Not yet. The next part took time. I knew I couldn't keep pretending forever. So I started preparing the house. I boxed up stuff that was mine, tools, pictures, keepsakes from my dad's old garage. Slowly. One at a time. I stored them in the attic, where she never looked. I scanned copies of all our shared bills. Printed out her emails with Kyle. I made a folder. Labeled it, Truth. Then I waited for the right moment. It came one night in March. She came back from another retreat, except I already knew where she'd really been. I had used a GPS tracker app on her phone, which she didn't know I had installed the week before. She was with Kyle. All weekend. That night she walked through the door glowing like she'd just had the best sex of her life. She dropped her duffel bag and kissed me on the cheek. Said she was tired and needed a bath. While she soaked, I opened my laptop. Printed one of the emails. I feel like I'm living two lives. But one is fake and one is real. I want to live the real one, with you. I placed it on her pillow. When she came out in her robe, she froze. Her eyes locked on the paper. You going to tell me this is fiction? I asked, calm as anything. She stared at me. You read my emails? You bet I did. You lied to my face every day and made me think I was the problem. She sat down on the edge of the bed, wrapped the robe tighter. This isn't something you'll understand. I told you that. No, I said, you told me I wouldn't understand. But I do. I understand a hell of a lot now. She started crying. Not because she was sorry. But because she got caught. Then she said it. The words that burned into my skull. I didn't plan for it to happen. But Kyle, he reminds me of who I used to be. You just became something safe. Boring. I let that hang in the air. Let her feel the weight of it. I'm leaving, I said. Not right this second. But soon. And when I go, I'm not taking a damn thing I don't own. She looked confused. You're leaving. I'm not going to be the last one clinging to a marriage you already walked out of. You think I'm boring? Fine. But I won't be your placeholder while you screw someone else on the weekends. She tried to backpedal. Talked about therapy. Time. She said she was confused. I told her, confused is when you forget what day it is. This was planned. Rehearsed. Lived out like a second life while you came home to me. I stood up. You want Kyle? You can have him. But don't expect me to wait around and pretend this house isn't full of ghosts. She cried again. I didn't offer her a tissue. I moved out 2 weeks later. Not a word to her family, not a word to mine. I didn't slam doors or throw clothes into bags. I packed like a man walking out of a fire without looking back. Just the things that were mine, tools, paperwork, old pictures of my folks, clothes, and the rifle my dad left me. Everything else? I left it to her. Before I walked out, I taped something to the fridge. A printed copy of their motel receipt. I'd called the place and told them I was booking again and needed a past copy for reimbursement. The guy was helpful. I circled the line that said, King Suite, 2 nights, paid by Renee B. Underneath, I wrote, hope the room was worth the cost. I left my key in the envelope. No goodbye note. I stayed with Dean for a few days while I looked for a short-term rental. I didn't want to buy a place yet. I wasn't in the right mind to plant roots. Too much boiling under the surface. But I didn't just sit around. I sent a letter to our mortgage company, letting them know I would no longer be responsible for payments after April 1st. Included a copy of our separation paperwork. I also forwarded her emails to a private email I created with her full name and the address. Then I changed the password and set it to auto-forward to every job posting in town where she might try to work. Petty? Maybe. Then I mailed a manila envelope to Kyle Brennan's house. Inside, all the printed emails, the motel receipt, and a handwritten note that said, just in case you thought she was only cheating on me. I didn't sign it. I also called Renee's mother. We'd always had a good relationship. I didn't tell her everything, but I told her enough. I said Renee and I were separating, and that she could ask her daughter why. Her mother was quiet for a long time. Then she said, I always worried she'd do something like this. That hit me harder than I expected. Now here's where the twist came in. 3 weeks after I moved out, Renee called me crying. Not asking for forgiveness. Not even asking for me to come back. No, she was crying because Kyle had dumped her. Apparently, Kyle didn't want a long-term thing. He liked the sneaking around, the excitement. But when Renee started making plans to move to Tallahassee, talking about living together, he got cold. Said he wasn't looking to play house. Told her he wasn't ready for all that. She begged him. He ghosted her. Then she found the envelope I sent him. And just like that, the fantasy crumbled. She called me from her car. Said she was broken, humiliated, lost. I stayed quiet for most of it. Then she said something I didn't expect. I made the biggest mistake of my life. I didn't laugh. I didn't yell. I just said, no, Renee. You made a lot of small ones that added up. Then I hung up. I thought that would be the end. That she'd move on, that I'd move on. But I didn't know she had one more move left. 2 weeks after that phone call, I got served. Renee filed for spousal support. Not divorce. Spousal support. She claimed emotional hardship, said I abandoned her. Claimed she gave up years of career growth to support my job, and now needed help adjusting. I laughed when I first read it. Then I got angry. She was trying to gut me. After everything she did, she wanted me to pay her to move on. Hell no. I got a lawyer the next morning. I showed him everything. The emails. The hotel receipt. The timeline of when I moved out. Her texts, her quote about, "He reminds me who I used to be." Every shred of her cheating in black and white. My lawyer said, she wants to go to court with this? Good. Let's go to court. But Renee didn't want a courtroom. She wanted a quick payout. She was bluffing. When my lawyer sent over our response, laying out all her infidelity, her fake retreats, the money she spent on Kyle, she went silent. Then her lawyer tried to settle quietly. She wanted $1,200 a month for 2 years. I offered her nothing. She came back with $800. I offered her my silence. Told her she could keep the damn house, keep the car we bought together, keep everything, if she walked away with nothing more. Not a cent. I also said if she dragged this into court, I'd subpoena Kyle and every hotel manager between here and Florida. She folded. In the end, she kept the house, the car, and the furniture. I kept my dignity. My tools. My savings. And every last piece of evidence that showed who she really was. The final divorce paperwork went through on a cloudy Thursday in July. I didn't cry. I didn't feel relief either. Just, hollow. But here's the last bit. The real twist. I found out she tried to go back to Kyle again. After all that, she reached out to him, told him she was free now, and they could start over. He told her, "I don't want leftovers." Those were his exact words. I heard that from a friend of a friend. One of those small-town grapevine things. She started going to a therapist again. But not to find herself this time. To figure out why every man who ever loved her ends up hating her. I didn't hate her. Not really. But I made sure she'd never forget me. Or how I left. Sometimes I think about calling her. Not to reconnect. Just to say, I did understand. I understood so well, I let you drown in the mess you made. But I don't. She lives in the same house, alone now. I heard she took up knitting. Started posting healing quotes online again. Still searching for herself, I guess. As for me, I rent a place outside of Columbus. I work with Dean now. Same work, better pay. I don't date much. I don't trust easily anymore. But I sleep fine. Because I didn't scream. I didn't beg. I just walked away and made sure the door hit her on the way out. She said I wouldn't understand. She was wrong. I understood everything.